the mic alone. What did it ever do to you? Contemptor Dreadnoughts, they are a fiddle. Lots of little parts, lots of options, means you can pose these guys really dynamically. I'm going to go for something quite exotic on this one. You needn't do that, but there's still lots of good tips and tricks. I'm going to put a big sword on this fella and go really dynamic. Right, that's a Contemptor Dreadnought exploded. Let's get the pack and the arms out of the way. Just for now, come back to those. Got my tools and this piece of paper. The reason I'm building on that, you'll see why. And blue tack. Oh my god, you're going to need blue tack. So useful. Here's the torso. The gates on this come really close to the sides there, and that overhang can be a bit tricky. When you cut resin, it can shatter. Little fault lines from the swirling resin can crack. So get your razor saw, line it up, pull gently until you've got a little groove and you're more confident. Put more pressure, work your way around, work your way around. When you have when you think you've got nearly there, or cut all the way through, snap it off. Either or, whatever suits. You can see here as I'm cleaning up these resin bits on the inside that, putting them in my basing tub there. It's my intermediate basing crap. So as you can see, you clip that resin, and because there's a little line, it just snaps away. Now if that happened on a bit of detail like that overhang, that could be quite traumatic. I just keep sweeping away there so that I don't get loads of resin dust in my blue tack, and the blue tack stickiness is really important for this job. More of the same there on the leg, saw it, knife it up, tidy up those edges a little bit. This is the pelvis and the body. Oh, somebody's come to help. He's helping me tidy. That's nice, mate. Thank you. Now sit down. Sit. Okay. So the gate on there is on the dome, so it's nice and quick and easy. You can cut it and then scrape it back. Get rid of the worst of that. The legs here, I've cut off those ones nice and quick. Again, it's a little internal part where that gate hits the piece. Oh, and there we go. Resin can be quite fragile. I've had this kit a good few years, 4 or 5 years. It's probably just gotten knocked and a bit weakened, but trim away and then shave back so that you preserve all your detail. I'm just giving that edge a little knock there, arrising it, A-R-R-I-S. Just means the paint can get a bit of grip. Oddly here, we've got the gates right on the detail, right on the top of the model rather than on the dome like those other parts. Don't know why I've done that. Seems a bit odd, but there we go. These little bits, the head there, cut it, knife it back. These are the knee pads, very similar. The gate comes right up flush with the detail on the bottom of the knee. What we do here is place it on a bit of blue tack for support, and then you can scrape away, get clear of the detail off the front, the sculpt, and then when you've got past it, you can snap away. You can knife the back then, give it a little sand. I'll turn this part over. It's got a little bit of a mould slip. Again, it's an older one. You get far less of this on the newer kits. They've gotten far better quality control on Forgeworld. The bad reputation they used to have still lingers, but I don't think it's valid anymore. That's one done. Do the other one in the same way. This is the Alpha Legion Kissy knee pad. 20th Legion. Right, so this one, same technique, cut away, put it on our block, scrape away, You can see why I'm doing that. Turn it around there, you can see how close that gate is to the top of the detail there. So again, scrape away, and then I'll poke it with the knife just to see how much flex I've got, whether I've gone far enough. Go a couple more for safety, and then break it away. There we go, knife that, and then I'll run a file over it. While that blue tack is there, we'll get the next one on the go. Same thing, tidy up. There's that filing. Keep it flat, gentle passes. Quite a naughty mould slip there. I have to be very careful to cut that away because it's very thin. You can see the knife through the resin, it's paper thin. You see the light coming through there. I'll back that up with a bit of green stuff. Anyway, tidy it up. Tidy up the other one, filing away. These are the arm parts, the elbow parts. It's the upper part that goes into the shoulder. Just trimming these off. Again, going close there, just because I know that the area that I'm cutting is going to be glued together or tucked away in a recess. Just getting the flash off the inside there. That's them done. Clear the deck again. Have a little sweep. Thanks, mate. Thanks. Keeping all those little bits of chaff. They make good rubble for your bases. Here we go. Chopping away at the feet. Again, they get hidden away so we can do that quick and rough. This is the wrist, which again will be a bit more exposed, so a little bit more care on that. Scraping and filing, scraping and filing. A little arris around that edge where the two parts are going to meet. Keep going on that. So I'm just twisting the knife there, turning it round gently in hand, light touch as I spin it 360 inside. Okay, now this is the torso going in. I've packed it out with a bit of blue tack. Now, this main process is all about sketching in blue tack, and then we take it apart slowly, having made marks and references, and put it back together. What that also does is act as a bit of a spacer and push the body out. It's just fractionally longer, a mil, maybe a 1.5 mils longer. We can see a bit more of that detail. So this is how I did that. Just made a quick ring, and I popped that round the pelvis part as well, just to hold that in place while we continue our sketch. I've got my scraping knife there. You see how thin that resin is between those two hemispheres. I'm just going to knife that through so that the pin that I'm now going to put in this hip joint can go through. This is something I like to do, make a cross on the dome there, and then where those 2 points intersect, my knife, just give it a little starter point for the drill bit to bite. That's my scraping knife, so there's no point in it. That went many moons ago. Drilling this one really quickly. I've stopped and had a dinner, so I've got a different camera angle. Just show you this one a little bit more slowly. Just lining that up, and before I go too far, just check that that's nice and square by spinning the part. If it looks parallel, it's level and square, I can crack on. Not that it needs to be perfect, close enough for rock and roll. Glue that in, and that pin will go through that pelvis there. And we'll use, you'll never guess what, a bit of blue tack to hold that in place while we continue our sketch. So I've taken the blue tack off there. and I'm gonna drill and pin that now because I'm pretty confident there's very little movement in that area, so I might as well glue that up. It's just going to be a couple less moving parts that we have to hold together. So this is a slightly thicker armature wire. I think it's aluminium welding rod from a job I did in a workshop. Again, making that cross, making a little starter hole. I'm drilling on an old base with a bigger drill bit. Drilling away, and then you'll see I go slower with gentle pressure. And I'll clear the resin out those flutes so it doesn't block up, and then I can drill again. Little ball of glue over the hole, push it into the hole with the part, and you know the glue is definitely in there on both parts. A little bit of blue tack on that pelvis section, which I'm just going to blue tack for now. So that's the torso, a little bit of blue tack. You can see there's a mil of space there. This is the pelvis, just a little tidy up there. It's always worth turning these parts over in your hand each time you pick them up. So much lovely detail, it's very fine. You're bound to miss something. Be ashamed to only see it after you've primed it. There's two shapes, got a nice big area. I'm sure that'll be strong enough just to hold the weight of the legs. Big old scrape, get all the way to the edge to make the most of that area. Give the glue a chance to bite. Generous blob. Put it on, get rid of the cat hair. I've given it a wiggle and I've lined it up. It's got a little turn through the body, just off square, just so it doesn't look straight and dull and boring and ultramarine. Oh, said it out loud. There we go. There's that twist as the glue goes off. Cool. Onto the hip. So that one's already glued in. Push it through. Stick the other one on. And again, good old blue tack, just jammed in there to help us hold together our sketch. These are your feet. You've got two left, two right. They've got slightly different shape on the toes. So I had a little scrape around there inside the heel. A little bit of flash. Now on the bottom of the leg, kind of below the knee, is this little guide piece that goes in that slot. We'll put a bit of blue tack in there, in that slot. Just looking at which end of the leg I need to put that in so that it's going to get best use and not foul up. Just push it in there with my tweezers and then pop that leg on and it's reasonably secure. Picking the right foot for the job. A little bit more blue tack to give him some booty. Look at that. Ooh, thick. So there we go. I've picked the foot with a little bit of a curve to it to suit the curve of the leg. And I'll put the straighter one on the other. Now I'm just looking at where the glue is going to contact. So I'm going to put the glue on the back of the foot after, surprise, surprise, a bit of scratching up, and it'll glue it against the back of the recess there on the leg. There's a bit of blue tack just to hold it in place for now. I could have glued it up, but I wanted to be sure I was definitely going down this route. The other foot, much the same, slightly straighter on the straighter leg, as if that one's pointing. Cool, getting a sense of what we're after here. Now, you're beginning to see why I've put it on a piece of paper, so that I can trace all of these blue tacked parts off onto a bit of paper. This is really useful. So, you can see I'm just marking the bottom of the foot, the centre point, the fulcrum, the pivot there underneath, and then I'll pop that out of the way, so that's the top leg done. Underneath that foot, and I'm just looking to where that's going to go. The gridded paper means you get a better sense. You know, I can see where that line is, trace across, you know, like a grid reference. I've got the dots, I draw the lines between them, and now as I work I'll put little pencil marks on the parts, but you're handling them so it's really easy to rub them off and lose your way. So you've got that drawing of a very happy little elf legionnaire. It's nice. He's dead mind, but you know. Cool, so just gonna glue that up. I'm looking at the angle of it, where the glue's gonna go, what I need to scratch, how much glue, making a judgment on that. So I know where that line is. I'm gonna mark it around there, and that will tell me where I'm gonna put the glue. Generous bit there, move it around, and that's the foot done. Working up that leg, now looking at the knee. So I've put the glue just on that edge of that track there, wiggled it around to make sure it's got loads of contact. Pop a glue in the bottom there, put that foot on, give it a wiggle, and line it up. Bit of blue tack just to hold it in place. Make sure it stays supported while the glue fully sets up. A little bit of glue squirted forwards, so I've just pushed that out of the way. It will look like grease. Should we have a look in there? Good old blue tack, eh? Just doing its job, holding that together while that sets up. So now, this is the knee pads. So what I'm looking to do is sit that halfway between those two extremes. Notice a little curve to the front of that knee pad. So with a file, very gently, because it's a knife edge, tidy that up, straighten it up. Same but different, just scratching it up, but with a nice sharp pin, bit of paper clip, and a nice sharp edge. I stabbed myself with it, edited away all the gore. But a little bit of glue there, eventually comes out the tube. And make sure that's towards the outer edges. Just being careful to make sure that it doesn't squirt out and ruin any of our detail. Get it in place. Stick it to your finger. Say bollocks. Try again. Now the other one, little scratch on there. So I'm putting the glue on this side now, just to see which of the two we prefer. On that goes, little wiggle to make sure it's fully covered. Now we're onto the base. So what's an interesting lump of crap to jump off of? An old orc. Yeah, whoa, they're having fun, those lads. An old orc battle wagon wheel. It's probably 25 years old at least, that, but it's a bit of a wreck. So I'm just trimming off the rest of it quickly for your purposes here. It's not a basing video, just chopping away at that cork. Leftover base from another project that I'm repurposing. I'll bash that wheel in there, super glue, bicarb. You'll see there's a little stick poking out there that I moved the glue around with. And then I sacrificed it to the base and just jammed it in there. Why not? Bit of snapped wood, broken metal and a wheel. I'll find an orc skull to put in there at some point. Here's blue tack doing its job again, just putting those fingers. I chopped them off the sprue, put them on there so I don't lose these tiny parts, giving them a little trim up so that they fit. Good old blue tack. Good old blue tack. Now, I've put this wrist part on the inside of the wheel, and I'm lining up the fingers just to see if this is going to work. I've not done exactly this before. I've got a fair idea that it's going to work. I've put it on the inside of that wheel at this stage as I'm lining things up, and I change my mind and I move it over to the outside. Right now, that 4-bit really tricky to hold on to. So, blue tack to the rescue. You'd never have guessed, eh? What we do, pick up eventually these fiddly parts, make sure they're facing the right way. There's little marks on the outside of that forearm. And make sure we got that part with its little ribs facing the right way. Get all those 4 bits together, give them a twist, big blob of blue tack. This is the other arm, similar fashion, just getting that in place. And trying out the other arm. This is the sword that you won't have seen. It's a Grey Knight sword with a bit of plasticard and green stuff filling in the inquisitorial icon. And I'll put that on properly later, but I wanted to make a note now on our piece of paper of that shape so that we can reference it. A couple of pencil marks on the shoulder as well, a little mark inside the elbow. So we've got belt and braces, we've got 2 systems with which to reference. A little scrape on the inside there just to make sure we get a bite in that little surface, and similarly on the other part, the male to the female connection. On that shoulder, you can see how shiny it is, well worth giving it a scratch. Turn it a few degrees, give it another scratch in another direction, and again, really shiny surface there. Give it a scratch all the way to the edge so that your glue has got a nice key to bite onto. Squirt a bit of glue in, move it around, cover the whole area, and get those 2 marks lined up. Superb. Now this bit, I give this a little scrape, a little Aris, just to tidy up that edge. But it's well worth checking on this. See, they just blend into each other. They're very... Just needs a little bit more so that it doesn't fill up with paint when we prime it, base coat it. So you've got a little bit more separation there. Something for the wash to wick into. Again, this little area, putting the glue in with a tool rather than putting it on that other part, and when you push it in it just squirts out. Those are those little marks I was talking about on the outside of the arm. Just double checking that I've got it the right way around. Line it up on my drawing, got the right angle. This is a thruster from a Storm Talon, which I'm going to use as a wrist part. Obviously the original one's got little finger holes in it, it's not going to work. So I've got this part, I've trimmed it down and I've sanded it flat. So that fits nicely. I'll pop a little bit of plastic glue. There's not much plastic glue in this job. Pop that on there, push it down. Got a tiny bit of glue come out there, so I just push that out of the way. Move that into the folds of the wrist joint. That'll get covered up, that hole on the back, with a little nubbin later on. So let's get a bit of blue tack and rest the sword in there just so it stays at the right angle while the glue cures. Back to the main body, the pelvis there, surprise surprise, a little scratch. Make sure we've got a good key. Generous blob of glue there, so we get a nice contact area. Get the leg, get the other one ready, think about it, get them both positioned in my hand so that I can get them together nice and quick, so we don't cock that up and have one leg glued and the other one half on and pointing the wrong way. So there we go, twisting it there, gently, gently, count to 1,000,000, job's a good one. So I've popped the base, pinned it onto the cork there just so you can see it at the right angle, so I can look at it, so the camera can see it for you guys. Just offering that up, looking at how much space we've got there. This I think is where I make the decision that I might want to move that hand over to the other side of the wheel. Now, here's the blue tack doing its job again. Get those parts all facing the right way. Clamp them in place, push it onto the blue tack, You know, there's no way of holding all 4 of those parts reasonably while you try and hold the Dreadnought. So you see, just working on that angle, tweaking it, deciding the shape. So you can see I just opened up that blue tack. It's all stayed. As long as you don't stretch it, just gently let it fall open. You can then close it back up. And that acts as a hinge. You can see it's still holding in place. Peeled that one away, but the little mark, the little nubbin on the back of the wrist makes a good mark in the blue tack. And then we can line it up again afterwards, you see. Kaboom. Right, the other one. Little scratch on the inside. Scratch on the top there. You can see towards the back, because you can almost see the front. And the glue again towards the back. And I'll spread it around in there with a little wiggle. Push it backwards and forwards. Just checking I've got plenty of coverage. And then, so that I maintain a little bit of a gap there, the angle I like, I just pop a little bit of paper, sandpaper there, into that space. Boom. That's got a nice little space. So that hand needs pinning. Just looking at where I'm going to put that, smack in the middle. And just for the purposes of working on it, I'll put blue tack in there. Zoom, do that one nice and quick. You can see a little bit better on this shot. That ball of glue on the end of the pin. This is why I use the thick stuff so it doesn't run away. Pop that ball on there and then push it in, moves around. You can see it's gone into the hole. And that'll glue up nicely. Good old blue tack, holding it while it dries. Line up and get a look at where this sword is going to sit now that we've got our wrist piece in as well. I'm thinking about that little contact point. Now, I got away with it on the other one because the weight's all in that direction, but on this one I want to pin it just because I fear that the sword will catch on things, bits of terrain or your sleeve of your shirt or something, and you don't want that snapping off. So I've drilled it and pinned it. Just used a slightly bigger drill bit just to tidy up the hole there, because some of the swarf had stayed inside. So I just nick that. A little bit of glue, same old. You see, I had too much glue on the pin, so I just rubbed it off on the bit of the model that we'll never see because it will go behind the power pack. There's that power pack. And the glue on that little lip there so that it doesn't squeeze out anywhere we don't want it, because it will be covers up that area. Give it a wiggle and settle it down so that gravity is holding it in place in the right direction. That's the sword arm again, just popping a little bit of blue tack into that area, push it in place, give it a wiggle, and now, just so that it's not too fat, I'll pull it away and I'll take off the excess. And it's kind of cut itself like a little die cutter. And we've just got enough, just what we need, just to hold the weight of the arm and the sword to continue that sketch. Cool. Beginning to look. I'll put a bit more in there just because I'm going to need that to hold in place for the rest of this. I'm not going to glue it so that I can take it away so that we can paint this model. Offering it up again, so I'm fixing that arm. Just looking at the angle that I need to drill, matching that angle. So here I am, with using the blue tack and a support for that wrist point. I'm just putting the fingers in place and looking at how that's going to work. I do, however, decide to use that technique but on the other side. So I'll just push the fingers in place against the blue tack and then pulled it out from the middle. So here you go, there's that magnet that I thought about. I'm going to pin it up and it's not going to work. But if I don't try, you'll never know. So I've saved you time by wasting my time and make a video about it, which wasted more time. Duh. Life choices, eh? But, you know, looks quite cool. Doesn't that look cool? I like it. That's the sword up in the air. I decided to have it a little bit more tactical and tight against the body. It's, you know, it's not fixed yet. Until I paint highlights in the wrong direction, it can go either up or down. So there we go. I've got rid of the magnet because they weren't up to the job. Put loads of super glue in there. A little bit of bicarbonate soda, just so that it fills up that area. It was just a little bit loose. I wanted to fill that up, so I put the bicarb in there. It helps steady that joint. So there we are. We fixed that arm, so now we know where we want to position the other. Now this is the head. I've taken a little bit of the detail off the back of it there, just because it's got these chains moulded on the top, and I wanted to be able to angle that head up a little bit. There you go. But I need a little bit of something to go under the chin. I looked at this plastic card, which you might have. So obviously I'd put the head on there, trace around the head, pop that underneath. But I've got this cool modelling wire, soft, flexible stuff, and I just like the detail, a little bit of something. So I've cut that, shaped it, pops a little bit of glue on there, drop the wire on, and then backed it up with a bit of bicarbonate of soda. That gives it a bit of body, thickens it up, helps the glue go off quicker as well. Trim that at the back just for an angle, helps angle the head upwards. I've just popped it in my nice Tamiya double action tweezers, so you can see this, it's held in place. Line it up and then push it into place. So I've gotten all excited that I'm nearly finished and made a big metal sword, and forgotten about the elbow pads because the sword was so cool. Oh dear. There they are, that's the elbow pads, and all the nubbins that go on the back of the gun and the little palm bits, which I've not used because I can't see it. Save them for something else. So they go on the back there. There they go. You can see it now. And I've put a bit of something on the back of the hand just to cover that hole. There he is. Cool guy. Hope you've enjoyed that. Lots of little tricks and tips that are useful on building resin kits. Certainly the Contemptor. Hope you come back. You know, clicky, subscribey, all that bollocks. Cheers. Oh, and apparently you have to put them on a turntable. It's the law now. Pink lights, turntable.